So how do they do it? How do the Packers close the gap? It's the Rams, it's the Buccaneers. You can put whoever you want at the top, the guys who won the Super Bowl, the guys who won the Super Bowl before, and then this team that hasn't won the Super Bowl since he did it once a long time ago.
Yeah. They got to answer the question, who is Mr. X? And Mr. X is the name I'm giving to whoever the Packers are going to add at wide receiver. We all love Allen Lazard and we love Robert Tonyan, and those guys are great. I think it's safe to say that you can't lose Devontae, add no one, and then go and get back to a Super Bowl. So Mr. X is... They have to add someone at that position. They need to add someone of a very high talent level. Who is that player going to be? And here's what we're looking at. These are free agents on the left, draft guys on the right. It's got to be someone there, right? Either you decide, you know what, after all, I think we're gonna sign Will Fuller. We're going to try to roll the dice on Julio Jones after he underwhelmed in Tennessee. We think Aaron Rodgers can turn him back into Julio. And then on the right, you got these 5 guys. These are the top 5 wide receiver prospects. Do they spend the 22 pick on one of them? Do they spend the 28 pick? Do they get 2 of them? Are there Mr. X? Are there 2 of them? You have to add someone for Rodgers. And we don't know who that's going to be. We don't know what they're going to do with those picks, or if they decide, after we thought about it, we'll get some linemen and draft Jarvis Landry, or sign Jarvis Landry, and then we're off and running. I think the ones that jump out are this gentleman right here that are fascinating to me. This guy who was last seen running around the Super Bowl looking like he was fresh out of LSU, blows his knee out. They decide to bring him in. He heals up at the end of the season. He and Rodgers get along. They make a Super Bowl run. That's great. Or the other one that we've talked about a lot as the show, and that is just sitting there and just busting through the screen. And you go to Seattle and say, how would you like the 28? How would you like maybe the 22? One of those. And let's get DK here for a 1-year deal in which he becomes unstoppable and has 105 catches and 15 touchdowns with Aaron Rodgers and really shows off. And then we see what happens in the future. You got 2 years with Rodgers, I think. I think you have 2 years. This is it. Either one of these kids you're going to draft, they have to win you a Super Bowl, or you got to bring one of those household names. I think you have to. Maybe you do both, but you can't do nothing. Who is Mr. X? The biggest question for me.
Who do you want it to be? Because you have, I mean, DK, if he's on the block, he's the best option.
And the idea that they would draft Olave with the 28th pick when they could bring in DK Metcalf and just light the world on fire, and then we'll see where the contract takes us. But Seattle, I love DK.
Seattle has to trade him.
Yeah, they would. Hey, you offer him the 28 or the 22 and say you want to do it.
Would you offer both?
Have to trade him. I would not offer both, and I don't think you would need to. If they're interested in, maybe Seattle's like, no, we're going to grow old with DK, and then it's a different deal. I'd offer the 28 and see if they take it.
It's such a good roster, though. Their one hole is this number 1 wide receiver option, and they've got draft assets, of course, to move up and grab a guy if they want to because of the Devontae Adams trade. It's super interesting, but that's the one hole they need filled to try to get back to the Super Bowl.
If I'm Green Bay, I wouldn't use any draft capital to move up to get just a guy. There's too many wide receivers in this draft. I like the DK Metcalf one intrigues me, though. It really does, because I can see that actually happening, and it definitely looks good on paper. But if I'm the Seattle Seahawks, I don't trade DK Metcalf unless I know my franchise quarterback is coming back to me, or I can get my franchise quarterback in that deal. For me, I do think they need to bring in a wide receiver. I think Jahan Dotson is a guy that they need to bring in. And I know people out there going to say, oh, he's a Penn State guy. You want to talk about him. Not just that. This kid can play. This kid can really play, and he rules the slot. I like guys that come in the slot. He's a little slighter build, but he is fast. I need everybody to go back to the tape this year of the Penn State offense. About halfway through the year, you saw a switch. It seemed like somebody said, guys, we aren't good enough. Put the ball in number 5's hands as much as possible. And then this kid just took off, had over 1,000 yards receiving, over 90 receptions. And every team in the Big Ten knew he was going to get the football. The offense wasn't great, and they still couldn't stop him. He has tremendous hands. And what I've known about him, and when I've investigated, this guy is a pro. He can walk right into your huddle. He's going to understand the verbiage. He's going to understand, how to work hard, and he's going to be a positive influence to guys around him. He's a pro right now. I tried to find a bad story on this dude.
You got nothing?
I couldn't find anything.
Even you got all the sources.
I couldn't find anything. I'm talking to equipment managers, everything. He's going to be on the show a little bit later. Can't wait to talk to him. But everybody has the wide receivers going around this mark right here. I think he's going to fall right to the Green Bay Packers, and if he's there, I pick him up. He's a pro. He'll step right in and score touchdowns for you right now.
Devil's advocate here. They drafted Amari Rodgers last year, 5'9", underneath guy.
And his jersey.
Dotson.
And I liked him, too.
Dotson, 5'11", under 6 foot. Do you start thinking about the basketball team concept of being like, all right, well, we need to have one of these 6'2" guys, or is it more best player available if you're the Packers at wide receiver?
For me, it's best player available. Just go out there, especially if it's speedy guys. Go get speed, create more space in this offense. This offense, when you look at it at its core, it wants to run the football. And what happens later on in the season, right? For whatever reason, they stop running the football. Aaron Rodgers doesn't get guys readily open. Whatever the case may be, they lose themselves later on in the playoffs. I think they add more speed to this offense. I think they'll be fine later.
Yeah, yesterday's press conference, we see Tom Clements talking. You see Rich Bisaccia, who's the new special teams coach, and you saw they have 8 new coaches, and it might be some of the same guys, but in different roles now. I think they took a major hit with the Adams loss. I think you can't quantify that enough. I also think they lost a lot of brain power when Hackett was hired by the Broncos and Getsy was hired by the Bears. Like, Rodgers was in a very good place last year, and it's because of the chemistry and camaraderie in that quarterback's room. He loves Hackett. He loves Getsy. He loves, the backups in the room. Even Love, Jordan Love. Like, they get along, and Becker and all that. They've got a great chemistry. What's going on? To lose both of these guys, and then Tom Clements didn't coach last year. He was retired. He's 68 years old, and yes, Rodgers has a great fondness for him. And Stenovich is a young, up-and-coming offensive mind who is the offensive line coach. He's going to be the offensive coordinator now, but like, gosh, I think that's really, really big as well. I think they got further away from their goal when, for good reasons, it was attrition because of how much success they've had, but you're losing 2 bright young coaches in Hackett and Getsy, and I'm not so sure it's going to be like that, filling in that chemistry. And then you add that on top of the Devontae Adams. I think the gap became a little wider between the Packers from the Bucs and the Rams.
Agree.
And I think that's fair to say on this show that I don't think it's a slam dunk that that Rodgers is going to have as good a season as he had last year. He's losing a lot of key pieces on the field, but also up in the box.
And on that full screen of wide receiver strikes, I don't know who the best guy is. Who's the best player? DK wasn't even on there. He very well may be the best player. It's about the right player. It has to be the right wide receiver. If I'm John Schneider watching this show, I know how pretty I sit. I've got a guy with NFL pedigree, a big guy, a proven guy. Do I want a rookie playing with Aaron Rodgers? What's that chemistry going to be like? Where's the dossier of evidence in that direction? Triggs, it doesn't exist. So you're looking at this list, and it's not about best guy available, who can we get? If I'm the Seattle Seahawks, I know exactly where I sit. Very pretty, because DK's the belle of the ball here, in my opinion. You got to get him. Seattle could not draft him, and then or could not trade him, and then they'll have to play with the draft. It's not just about let's get the best player, get him a wide receiver 1. There's the chemistry between Rodgers to Adams in any situation. We can talk about how much they want to run the ball, but that was it. That was the heart of this team. You got to get somebody who is this rookie, as well as you speak of him, going to get in and like win the trust of Aaron. I don't know who that guy is, and I don't know if it's Odell.
What's the reaction
It might be.
on Friday morning if they go offensive guard with the 22nd pick and defensive back with the 28th pick? What do we do? Heads exploding.
Heads exploding. Yeah.
Fans, us, everyone.
They've never, ever tried, let's get Aaron a first-round receiver, ever. And I think to your question, all he said for a year is, I want input, I want input, I want input. He will have takes on the wide receivers he likes. He has said in the Jordan Love draft, he loved Jefferson, wanted them to get Jefferson. He was out about it. He will know, I like the Penn State kid, I like Drake from USC. He will, in terms of the chemistry, I want to work with that guy.
I'd want to know from Packers fans, too, here, like, do you trust the front office enough where you're like, hey, we're 13-3 every year? We got Devontae Wyatt, a defensive tackle, and we got, Linderbaum, the offensive
There's a
center.
lot of wide receivers in this draft. I'm just saying. There's a lot. They all can run 4.3s. They all can catch. They all come from spread. They all have, I'm just saying, wide receivers are turning into that running back position where you can find one almost anywhere in the draft. You just heard Kay say, I mean, there's no, I don't know how to separate these guys, these top wide receivers at the draft. It's whatever your flavor is, whatever is good for your offense. We'll see.
But it's a very specific flavor for this very particular quarterback, is my point. I don't know what that process looks like as they evaluate and how they value different guys, but I do know that their Super Bowl future, their legacy, all of it for this year, it depends on whether or not this wide receiver that they procure
Whatever it is.
turns into a number 1 and can do the thing. It is legit the difference between going to the Super Bowl and another early exit for Green Bay.
I don't think it matters. Aaron Rodgers got to play better in those moments. Forget who he's throwing to.
That's a whole other topic, and it's not wrong.